So for you now, you've gone out there and you've taken that challenge, that setback, those the things that most, I suppose, wouldn't have even been through, couldn't even fathom. But now you've turned that into that fuel to go and do nursing, to go into healthcare, to go and try and disrupt the system, it sounds like. Most of the things that you're doing now is trying to disrupt something in some way. So for you, do you think that healthcare is going to be that trend that you continue to build more things in? Do you see adjacent things that you think will be interesting for you? Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years when it comes to being an entrepreneur and investor?
Me personally, I think that if you just stick in one field, you will consistently get better every single year. So I found that me sticking in healthcare, particularly around the areas of healthcare that I've decided to focus on, telehealth, medications, so pharmaceuticals, as well as like tech, all within specific areas of healthcare. It's allowed me to grow very, very fast. So yeah, I think that sticking in one area would be the best, to be honest.
What have you done differently? The HCPA business, which is the more the advocate for the provider stuff that you've been doing. What have you done differently in that you think has helped grow that quicker than what others have done?
I'm very risky, to be honest. So when I started HCPA, we had multiple competitors. Our competitors were probably sitting at, let's say $10 million a year each, and had quite a few staff members. And currently we sit now in our particular niche, we sit at the top. So we have like considerable the amount of staff members that they all have. We make way more money than them, and we have way more outcomes than them. And I think that's purely because I'm a very risky driven person. So,
do you think entrepreneurs don't take enough risks?
Hey?
Do you think that entrepreneurs don't take enough risks?
Yeah, I reckon the people that make it to the top are the riskiest.
Yeah.
Like that's realistically what it is. Obviously, you got to be smart in the way that you do or execute your risk. But I'll pop up services and I'll completely blow so much money on services that we pop up that don't work. But it's the one that works that made us win every single time. So I think that was the number one thing in what we do. And then I'd say the second thing is that whenever we come up with an idea, we act straight away. So literally, we'll walk out of a meeting, so we'll have a manager's meeting, and that literally the second we walk out, I'm already walking to our system to input the data to make sure we turn it into a project plan. Our teams are already walking to their teams to tell everyone this is our next move, this is our next service. For example, the fertility stuff. We made that decision in a meeting. The next day we're already making medications. So that's how quick we move. So whenever we make a decision, the same day we're already started. Well,
the thing that I talk about a little bit is about this latency period, this kind of, the neutral period a lot of people spend time in, and that's such a costly period. Yes or no are good decisions, yes or no, but there may be we don't know, let's think about it, let's have a committee for a subcommittee for a subcommittee for a subcommittee, that kind of shit that, you see in corporates. That's what costs, I think, more money than making yes or no decision.
Yeah, so this is very simple methodology that we use to help us make fast decisions. Because when you're sitting in the maybe or the grey area, then it's probably not going to work out. We have this thing, if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. That's what helps us make a very quick decision.
Yeah.
And if we say that, it's only one or the other. We forget about it, or we're starting in about 60 seconds.
I think you had another word for that too. What was the other word for that?
Frumpanoop.
Frumpanoop? Where did that come from? Frumpanoop.
Where did frumpanoop?
That doesn't sound like a word to me.
So that word is
just a made-up word. You like to make up your own words. Hey, when you're successful, do the fuck you want. No one cares, right? I love that.
No, our social media manager made me say a random word on TikTok.
I know. Well, let's talk about
right there.
Well, let's talk about TikTok, right? You're welcome. I got you that one. 190,000 on TikTok. You've built a great TikTok following. I want to talk about the team in a second, but I really want to talk about how much of that was strategy and thinking about TikTok, Instagram. What can I do? Was it luck? Was it strategy? Was it a combo? Tell me a little bit about because that affects your brands. It affects your business. It affects clients. It affects people who want to work for you. And I think sometimes people think branding over here and business over here, but I've got a big following on Instagram, so I get people every day. Can I work for you? Can I invest with you? I want to be my business partner. That affects it. But from your perspective, tell me a little bit about how you approach your social media as a whole and how much strategy comes into it.
Yeah, it's all strategy. So TikTok is actually so hard, but once you get the strategy down pack, it's probably one of the best tools. I found from TikTok, we never have a lack in being able to hire staff members. There's always an abundance of staff members people that are looking to work with us, which is really, really cool. Like at any one time, we have a wait list of 3,000 people looking to work at HCPA, which is a consulting firm. Usually consulting firms are so hard to find people, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, but particularly B2C businesses like the telehealth, the fertility side of things. TikTok will be probably my main driver of growing that and getting that business to build a brand and be viral and be like the household name of that, and hopefully even take over IVF. So I think it's an extremely important thing, and it does require a lot of strategy if you're wanting to get something out of it. But if it's for, let's say ego, which I think then it's probably the biggest waste of time ever. But if it's for ego, then you probably don't need a strategy. Yeah.
You do a lot of stuff for your team as well. You post a lot of stuff about that. A lot of people like to work for you purely from the gifts, I think, of what you, So tell me a bit about that. When did that come about? How did that grow to such a big thing, really? You really do seem to reward your team quite a bit. And of course, that's shown on social media too. Tell us a bit about the cultural aspect of that for you.
Yeah, we had the best culture. Honestly, our workplaces are awesome. Anyone who's seen it online, it's really, really cool. And even our social media manager's shaking her head. She's like, hell yeah. We do have a really, really cool culture and very diverse, but so cool. So with some of our videos, there's a lot of like staff gifting or doing really cool things for staff members. That's like our niche. And it all came about because I was doing that and I was spending a lot of money on staff. And one of the staff members was like, do you know if you recorded this, it would actually go viral? I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, no other workplace does this. I was like, oh, maybe I should just put it online. And I did, mixing that with sharing my story and being like a young, CEO and whatnot. It just all took off. But then, we had to get really good at strategy to actually turn, online and TikTok into commercialization, so turn it into revenue and and if it's not revenue, then how can we at least get something out of it? Because I know like in consulting firms, it costs us like at least $5,000 to $10,000 to find a good quality staff member, whereas now it costs like $300. Wow. So now we've got to figure out through strategy how to do that. But there's probably some things that I could say today about strategy that could help.
That'd be great. Actually, want to know about that. So for those in here that are doing Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever they're doing, and most people who's not really embraced social media, give me a show of hands. Yeah, in your businesses. Okay. So especially for those, what are some things that you can give them, some strategy that are going to make them get off their asses and do it?
Well, here's some technical strategies. These are strategies that, honestly, the video that our social media manager was making behind the scenes was literally based off this strategy as well. But with TikTok, think of TikTok as like very fast moving. Each video, the way you present yourself online, you can't really build a huge brand on TikTok. It's very come and go. And Instagram's more of like your retention. So this is where like you build your long-term brands, you speak about who you are, the behind the scenes through to your audience, right? So TikTok's almost sales. So that's how you sell people into following you. And then Instagram is the authentic side of keeping them around for a long time, so retaining them. So when it comes to TikTok and driving people through to your accounts, with each of your videos, usually they have to be under 60 seconds. Honestly, even sometimes shorter, so around about 30 seconds or less. And they need to have these basic things. So first is your hook. Your hook needs to be around about 2 seconds and be very clear. So your hook is what captures them to watch your video. And that could be a visual hook, so what they see. So if I fall over on stage, that's a visual hook. They're going to see, why am I falling over on stage? It could be a verbal hook. So, for example, the one that we used coming into here was, I'm supposed to say, what's that word?
I don't even remember the word.
Numpaloop or whatever it is, on stage in front of X amount of people. So that's a verbal hook. And then you've got your text hooks as well. So your text hook can be just text on the screen. So for example, when I was buying my staff presents, I was saying, I'm going to spend $20,000 at Mecca. So that's enough to hook them in. And it's got to be 2 seconds. People have the smallest attention span. And then the other side of that is your payoff. So everyone thinks that hooks is what makes a great video. No, it's just what engages people to watch your video. The payoff is what's so extremely important. The payoff is like, why are they watching your video? So you've got to think, if you've hooked them for this, you need to provide the audience whatever you hook them for. So, yeah, and then, well, what's a good example of, okay, for example, the Mecca thing. I hooked them in saying I'm going to spend $20,000 at Mecca, and then the payoff is, what did I buy at Mecca? That's why they're watching, right? Or there could be a different, slight different payoff is my staff reaction. So that could be also another reason why they're watching.
And I think to add to that, the thing to remember with the payoff is that people's time is valuable, and I think that we think that we think the currency they give you is money, but when they give you their time, it's also value and currency. So the reason I like that we call it payoff, like you're saying, is because if you're going to watch for 30 seconds, it's like you're giving me a little bit of money, time. This is what your payoff's going to be, and you want to stick around for it because it's going to be great, right?
Yeah,
I love that.